we've got it backwards about how we show up for ourselves because we always get told it's selfish if you don't show up for other people before you. And I think that's born out of an old myth in society that that's how these things go down. And so if we're showing up for ourselves first, then I think we're getting it right.
You know what? I'm so tired of trying to figure out why people give a fuck about things that matter so little. But maybe the bigger question is why I give as many fucks the way I do. I'm an outside the box kind of girl. Depth is so much more interesting than treading the surface. And I'm here to pull you along, kicking and screaming if I have to. Welcome to Alchemized Fucks Given, where we decide the economy of our fucks, stop wasting energy on what doesn't deserve it, and do the real work instead.
Welcome to Alchemized Flux Given. The one thing I think that is the hardest thing for us to think about and to look at is how the fuck are we showing up for ourselves, right? Like, what the fuck are we doing to show up for ourselves? And why are we showing up for people who want for us to show up? So we're like showing up for ourselves less. And it's kind of become the norm. And then we're burnt out and we don't know what to do and we don't know how to do it. And we don't know how to get anything done. And so that for me was kind of like, okay, so how do we recognize what it looks like when we're not showing up for ourselves? And I think most of us probably know because then we're burnt out and we're angry and we're doom scrolling. And it's like, how do we even begin to get anything done? Right. But I think the thing that I think tends to happen is we're starting from the outside first. So, like, everything we do is dependent on how people see us showing up for them, right? Not showing up for ourselves. It's almost like that's all we know. And things that I keep coming back to when I talk to anybody about any of this is that the thing that we're doing. And then if we have enough time, we show up for ourselves. If you're a parent, this one is like a big one, especially if you're women. I'm not just saying that men don't show up for their children too, because men show up for their children, but predominantly the people that are doing most of the showing up are the moms, right? So if you are thinking to yourself, I have to be there for my child first. Well, I guess if your child is a little kid, I mean, little baby, little toddler, little itty bitty, whatever this is, then yes, that is how you're supposed to be showing up. And then you do whatever you can to show up for yourselves. But I think there comes a point, especially for whoever is the predominant caregiver, which once again, it's typically women, we don't show up for ourselves. We're like this person, this thing, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And this is how I'm going to continue to do this thing until I don't know how to do it anymore, I guess. I don't know. I'm confused. It's whatever, but not whatever. And then we guilt ourselves, we shame ourselves, we do all these things. And then we feel like, well, I don't know how to show up anymore and I'm burnt out. And then I doom scroll and I do whatever I can to not do things for myself. We've got it backwards about how we show up for ourselves because we always get told it's selfish if you don't show up for other people before you. And I think that's born out of an old myth in society that that's how these things go down. And so if we're showing up for ourselves first, then I think we're getting it right. But then you have to feel okay with showing up for yourself first. Like, so why is this so hard? why is this so hard to show up for ourselves? And I think that it is something that, so if society says to us, on our lives, you show up this way in your feminine. Because if you think about it, kids used to be seen, not heard. Women, it was all they could do to have their own thing, to do their own thing, to have their own stuff, to own anything. And if you were some woman that you owned something that you weren't supposed to have, and people were like, oh my God, she's a feminist or whatever, and she doesn't like men, or she's what, I don't know, it's a whole thing, right? So if we are showing up in that way, if it's I'm going to say this word, and the word is patriarchy. But then I was like, that word is so toxic and it's so ew. And people are like, why do you got to say that? And it's like, but the thing that I'm finding is that in the essence of standing in masculinity, and you can be masculine when you're a woman, you can be feminine when you are a man. Gender does not matter. We both have masculine and feminine contained within ourselves. Anyway, so I think the patriarchy of society said, well, children are to be put over here until they get to a certain age and they grow up and they become this thing and it's all they're worth looking at, worth talking to because now they're not so gushy, ushy, whatever. So you have that. So you do that whole thing. And then women are for only for a few uses. They're to birth the babies and do the things of that nature. But at the same time, they've got to do all these things and don't ever put yourself first. Right. And so I think that's the reason that we don't show up in a way that's good for us, that's conducive to us being in a healthy mental state, right? And so, like I said, right now we're in a place where we are living under this cloud of gross delusional masculinity here in America. Like I said, again, I think the rest of the world is picking up what unfortunately some of our leaders are putting down, but just know that is not who we are as a country. However, it's gross. It's gross. And it's like, okay, so we seemed like we were getting so far, but then it's like, how the fuck did we get here? How did we get here? How did this happen that this is where we're at? Because it did seem like for a while here in America, we were walking back, right? And I will tell you that as a Gen Xer, like I said, today is my birthday. I'm not going to tell you guys how old I am, but I might slip it in at some point. And it, it, we we probably didn't understand that we took so much for granted, right? There's a lot of people who are like, I want to go back to the olden days, the olden times where it was good for mainly, I'm going to say it, cisgendered white men, people that were on the fringes, on the outskirts, on the those of us POC, people of color. I don't think you needed the actual definition of what are those what those words, all those letters stood for in those words, but it doesn't matter. I told you anyway. It's like we were bound to get back here. It was like a drip, 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 like of a faucet, or like, when, I don't know, the toilet in the bathroom. Like, when the toilet in the bathroom just starts running, it makes that one noise. Like you flush it and it doesn't stop running and you have to go in there and you've got to jiggle the handle. You got to take off the lid. You got to yank the thingy up and down. I think we're in the yanking the thing up and down stage of where we're at and how we got here because we took so many things for granted. It's like I'm going to say this, and there's going to be people like, "Oh my God, why is she talking about this?" But you know what? It's my podcast. It's my ability to talk about this. So I'm going to talk about the way I liken it to my marriage. It's like, how did I get to the place that I finally was like, okay, you know what? I don't want to be here anymore. I want to be done. And it's like the drip, drip, drip of the faucet, right? I mean, how many times have you seen a faucet that drips and drips? And you can go over there and you can tighten the handles down, right, on the faucet. But then you find out, wait, I'm tightening these handles down and then still nothing is happening. The drip is still happening. And so you've got a couple options. You can continue to live with the drip, 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 or you can fix it, right? You can get out your tools and you can fix it. Or like the toilet, you can get in there and you can tighten things down. And usually it's like the little ball that there's that little piece that goes down to the bottom. I can't remember what any of these names for any of these things are, but you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, open a toilet lid. So, um, I think that we got here because we don't understand we need to stop jiggling. We need to stop jiggling when it comes to how we allow ourselves to be seen through our own eyes, not through the eyes of other people, right? It's like sitting down today and getting in front of this podcast, this microphone and the camera and everything. I've been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. But then it was like, you know what, you are out here and you're helping people. Like I've got clients that I work with. And the thing that I find sometimes when I'm in session with the clients is it is a steady drip of the same thing, sometimes week after week. And it usually stems from not knowing how they got here. Like I'll have clients who'll be like, I'm back to square one. And I'll be like, you're not back to square one. You're actually, you're further along than you give yourself credit for. So we start here, right? And then we slide back and you go forward and then there's a few steps back. But I think there's a discomfort in being able to show up for ourselves. So I think that's the thing is that we're told by society everything that happens with you has to happen outside of you, right? It's got to be outside of you. And then you get confused when you need something back for yourself. When you're like, I need to figure out how I'm going to do this thing. How am I going to take care of me? But you don't know how to take care of you because it's not the way you're supposed to show up. And that's not okay if you show up for yourself first. You got to show up for others because if you show up for others, then everybody will like you and it'll all be okay because other people, and it's a whole thing. I think that we don't understand what it looks like to be all right. We all talk about wanting to be all right. We all talk about, um, I guess, being authentic in ourselves and just standing up and saying whatever we think. And I know I'm someone of those people that tends to say whatever I think. I think that I mean, I had a recent conversation with somebody where there was this stuff going on and they weren't okay with it. And instead of feeling comfortable enough to say, listen, I'm sorry, but I'm not doing this anymore, however this looks. This may look okay for you, and you may think that you've done something to get yourself to where you are, to be who you are. And it's going to sound really convoluted, but I'm going to keep going with it. But then it's not working for me. And I think that's the thing, right? When you are so busy stepping outside of yourself to show up for other people and it's not working for you don't feel okay with saying that out loud, whether to other people or to yourself. Like if you're a parent and your child is, I don't know, a teenager, unless they might be somebody who's on the spectrum, because I have somebody who's close to my heart. But even then, my friend who's got this child who's on the spectrum is still teaching this child how to be self sufficient and to do for himself because she's like, I need to do for me without stopping being there for this child, right? I think that's how we get to this place where we don't take care of ourselves. We don't know how to show up for ourselves. We don't know how to do the things that we want to be able to do because we are so busy apologizing for wanting to care for ourselves, right? Even when we know we shouldn't do that, even when we know we need to trust ourselves, even when we know it's not good for us to not do this, we still do it because society says that's how you do it. So you spend a lot of time going, well, then who the fuck am I? Who the fuck am I right now? And I think if ever there was a time where we don't have a fucking clue as to who the fuck we are, it's right now. There's just this shit right now. I mean, one of the things I think often is I wish I could fail up so hard the way there's certain individuals in this world. Anything. Think that we did you but it is it's amazing how we have no idea who we are anymore. I know that there's days where I say to myself, What are you doing? What are you doing? But there's this whole idea of meritocracy and or mediocrity. I think that I'm kind of conflating the two to be the same in a sense that when you're looking at other people in power, I'm going to say this is not for everybody, and you see the level of mediocrity showing up, it has you questioning who the fuck you are. Who am I right now? I'm busy giving away all of this because that's what society says. I'm supposed to give all of this stuff away. And then I'm trying to figure out how the fuck did I get here? And I got here because I'm doing things outside of the way I want to do them for myself. Because if I don't do them this way, I can't show up for myself. Because if I do show up for myself, people are going to say you're selfish. And I'm like, well, fuck them if they think you're selfish. But then you wake up and you're like, in the midst of all this, your head is swimming, you're spinning, and you're like, who am I? Who am I? How do I show up? And how do I be okay when the word of the day is mediocrity, but I'm not mediocre? What does mediocre even mean? Less than. I didn't do a deep dive on mediocrity or anything like that because I was so busy doing a deep dive on patriarchy. It's amazing to me how much we live in a world where we're supposed to be okay with that. We're supposed to be okay with not showing up in a way that makes us feel good. We're not allowed to feel good. Well, we're allowed to feel good. If feeling good means we're scrolling and looking at things that don't really matter, as long as they make us feel good. Now, listen, I'm all for things that make me laugh because there's some things that I will get on Instagram and I will send them to my friends because they make me laugh. And I go down that rabbit hole and I look at these things and I send them to my friends because they're funny. Because to me, laughter is life, creativity is life. And there's very little, it feels like anymore, that can make us feel good. But I believe that what we can do right now, and it may seem hard, is we pour into ourselves. And what does that mean to pour into you? So do you get a pitcher of water and be like gluggity gluggity glug? No, or do you get a bottle of wine and go gluggity gluggity glug? Maybe a little bit we do. But what that means is you find things that fill you up, that make you happy, that make you feel joyful. Like when I'm working with clients, sometimes I'll be like, "Oh, dance break time." I actually, during some sessions, sometimes I will. We're going to pick a song, and for this next week, you're going to pick a point that you're just going to grab that music and or grab that song, and you're going to dance, whatever it is. I had one of my clients picked it's Panic at the Disco, right? Songs, not tragedies, and trust me, uh, that song is stuck in the back of my head because my children growing up played it all the time. But I found myself just the other day. Listen, I was up, I needed to go, and I had somewhere I had to be, but I knew I had a bit of a window, and I spent easily a half an hour just dancing to whatever music came on. And I got a mixture of stuff from Bad Bunny to Missy Elliott to Cher to Duran Duran. I listen to everything. Eminem, you name it, I listen to it. If it makes me happy, nobody gets to tell me it does not matter. I'm going to listen to something and I'm going to sing and I'm going to dance and I'm going to move my body in a somatic manner, which somatic is just, it's this body movement, things like just shaking yourself to make myself happy. And I think that is a way that I can pour into myself. I know that I am going to repeat this ad nauseum and you're going to hear it consistently all the time. I got two options every day. I can wake up and think I'm coming at this in a positive with the hope that that's what I get all day long, knowing it's a possibility something negative can creep up. And I'm going to do my best to recenter and reset myself and go, okay, you know what? So the next time somebody upsets you, like you're like, did you really just go there? I want you to turn on, pick a song, have a song at the ready. You're just going to turn it on, get your phone, you're going to turn it on, and you're going to just start playing it. and you're gonna dance right in front of them when they piss you off. And listen, just do it for 10 seconds. I was gonna say 10 minutes, but then they're gonna have walked away. That's all I'm saying. They just randomly started dancing. We were arguing about whether or not that was my parking space. And they jumped out and they were like, I can't even think of a song. I'm trying to think of a song. Joy. Anyway, that's what you should do. You need to pour into yourself whatever makes you happy as long as it's legally permitting outside of your home. Well, I'm gonna say it can't be legally permitting within your home because what's in your home, as long as you're not doing anything like you're not burying anybody underneath the ground, whatever is legally in your house that you're willing to do, do it. Trust yourself. Trust yourself, right? So I think that's what you fucking do right now. So if you're trying to figure out why the fuck am I okay with showing up less for myself than I am others, is it because you're so busy thinking about what's happening outside you versus what's happening inside you? That's the first thing. You got to ask yourself that question, right? And then why does this feel so hard? And it's because society told you it ain't okay. What we do is we make other people feel all nice and gooey, ooey, like a chocolate chip cookie that's just come out of the oven. And then, you get to eat that cookie 2 weeks from now from the cookie jar and it's like all hard and crackly. That's what you get to do because honestly, those cookies weren't for you. Those cookies were for other people. Or you can tell society, fuck you. I'm not doing this like this anymore. I'm going to eat those cookies. Well, not just out of the oven because you're just going to burn yourself, but you know what I'm saying. That's what you're going to do. You're going to get your cookies first before you give your cookies to other people. This suddenly turned what seems like slightly sexual. That's not what I meant. Cookies, as in how you make yourself feel better, right? Although you could give yourself your own cookie at that too. And then how did I get here? I got here because that's what I know. That's what I was told. That's how I'm supposed to show up. Because showing up any other way is not okay. Well, not okay. I just did that with quotes. It's okay if you feel good first because selfishness isn't the negative everybody tends to make it, right? So remember, you have had a constant steady drip, drip, drip from the faucet of what's okay and what's not okay. And the constant run of the toilet of you're just gonna keep jiggling that handle. And it's like, no, 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 I'm not gonna jiggle that handle. I'm gonna tighten things down and to make it where the drip stops and the running stops, right? And then you're gonna figure out who the fuck am I right now? Where am I in this present moment? Am I the person who is failing upward hard? Or am I somebody that's already there, but I just need to recognize it? And then understanding there are moments when I'm not at my greatest, but know that I'm going to toot my own horn and I'm not going to be mediocre when I'm doing it. All that to say, right now, alchemize the fucks, run down the list until you get to a place where you're like, yeah, I can fucking chill with this. All right. All right. I will see you guys later and have a good day.